Hello everybody, Trippin' Sister here. We are approaching the state line of the state of Maryland, leaving the Keystone State. That's right. Well, the state line is actually pointing that way. And we are passing Mason-Dixon Road, which I guess is
the north and the south.
Yes.
The sign.
And here is the sign welcoming you to Maryland. That's right.
Maryland, founded 1634.
And we just crossed the Mason-Dixon line. Maryland was established when?
1634. And there's a funny story that goes along with that we found out at the State House in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania said that we were going to register as a state after the Declaration of Independence, when they were changing from the original 13 colonies to states. Pennsylvania said we were going to declare our statehood. And they sent somebody to Philadelphia in order to register their charter as a state. Maryland found out about it, and they sent a writer there sooner so that they could register as a state, thereby beating Pennsylvania, which was going to be the first state. Maryland is actually the first state that declared for statehood.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say. My understanding was we heard about it and we beat them to it. That was my understanding. So
Okay.
Maryland was supposed to be the first state. They hadn't done it yet. And we heard about it. And we went ahead and declared our statehood before they had, what was it, something like 2 days. 2 days before they did. So so anyhow, there
Those
you go.
cheeky Marylanders, I'll tell you what.
Yep. Anyhow, well, so now we're in the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
And this is going to be our stopping place for today. I'm tired, sorry, yawning. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
It feels like a long day, probably because we took
It's been a long day.
because it's been a long day, and because we took so much in. Most of our trip today has been on the Black Slab. We did, do a couple of small towns and stuff, but most of our trip when we were rolling has been on the highway. And
To paraphrase Professor R.J. Gumby, my brain hurts!
yeah, Mr. Viking, his brain, which is like a steel trap, was taking all this information in. Well, there was another guy that was touring the State House with us who also had a brain like a steel trap. And then them two got to talking, and the tour guide finally said, "You guys are going to have to talk after the tour," because they got off into their own conversation. Oh, really? Yeah. And they're just exchanging information with each other, and everybody's head was getting filled up with all this stuff. And the poor tour guy was just standing there like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that." That was kind of funny. They were telling her things. But anyhow, so we're in Maryland. We're not just a few miles, I think, away from where we need to be for the night. And
That's the one thing about having grown up on the wet coast of Canada. Anything that's prior to about 1900 we consider to be of historical interest. Anything from the 1890s or the early 1900s, historical interest. Here on the East Coast, you cannot swing a dead cat without hitting at least 5 or 6 things that date back to about 1650. Fascinating, the amount of history around here.
yeah, Canada became its own independent nation when?
Well, the Charter of Montreal, which is one of the first cities in Canada, was 1634. Now keep in mind that America became a nation in 1776, but Canada proper did not actually become a nation until 1967, when we received our charter back from Great Britain. Until then, we were part of the Dominion of Great Britain, but we became a sovereign nation in 1967. 1867 was the 100-year anniversary.
I was thinking 1967. We were ready to go to Vietnam, and y'all were just becoming a country. Wow. Well, anyway, okay. So Canada is quite young compared to the rest, the rest of the world. So, all right, you guys. Well, there's your history lesson for today.
We sort of put our case to Her Majesty the Queen and said, well, we've had about enough of this and we're leaving. She said, all right then. And away we went.
All right, you guys. That's your history lesson for today. Cearfoss is where we are headed today. So we are there. We're going to find our place to sleep. And we will catch you guys in the morning. Thanks for going with us. Keep tripping.